What's poppin', y'all? Vindicated once again because it looks like a breakup happened of two of the biggest streamers, a breakup behind the scenes, and that is between Ludwig and Hasan. And it was all over this huge collar situation, which has blown out of proportion. And it's all Hasan's fault, the fact that it blew up so much. Ludwig gets dragged into this situation because of his girlfriend, Cutie Cinderella. Cutie Cinderella, she's the host of the streamer games. Ludwig and Cutie Cinderella were the first ones that started this back and forth animosity, which has since quelled down between the W/L community and the Poggers community. They were like, yo, who's Aiden Ross? They were actually beefing with Aiden Ross just because they saw how much motion he had and they just couldn't handle it. They were like, why is he getting this and why aren't we? And why don't we know who he is? But it happened once again when Cutie Cinderella, who is friends with Hasan, was at the FaZe house during the FaZe subathon, and they asked her about the collar. And then, she just goes into the regular spiel. Well, like that dog's so well treated and I've seen it, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't really answer the question. And then she says like, no, there's a vibration collar, this and that. And then people start getting upset. I'll probably put this whole saga into a more structured video. But this point is just with Hasan and Ludwig. Anybody would have thought Hasan and Ludwig were friends. But when Ludwig hops on, he starts getting pressure for not speaking on the situation because he's got something to say about nearly everything else. Considering he also had like this YouTube channel, Mogul Mail, which I think was a part of his YouTube exclusive deal that he had for a while back, which was a very smart move by him. He made a bag off of that one. But I'm going to play you guys the clip right now of him wanting no problems with any of this.
Now, to be clear, I want no beef with anyone. Hasan's community, Asm's community, Destiny's community. The last time I did, I think Destiny wished upon Slime and the rest of the podcast. If what I said offended you, I apologize deeply. I am Chinese now. I'm leaving Twitch and YouTube anyway for Billy. Seriously, I'll be out of your hair soon.
So here you could see him copping pleas after not having said a thing. And this was just, also XQC was one of the people that called out Ludwig. But Ludwig, yeah, he was copping pleas. He's like, listen, please don't involve me. He even said that someone messaged him and said, hey, I can't support you anymore. And I had to unsubscribe or something because you're, oh, no. They unsubscribed to a friend of Ludwig's because Ludwig didn't say anything to defend Hasan. Which you're probably thinking of like, what in the world is this level of, this is culture. This is an actual cult. You're like, hey, why are you friends with people outside the cult? Why didn't you say anything? You're like, well, what do you mean? I can't have friends outside of, this group that we're in because they're not going to call it a cult. Well, that's what happened. And then XQC was one of those people that said, yo, why didn't Ludwig say anything about this? He rescinded that. And I'm going to play you guys that clip. Why?
Because he said, because Ludwig was actually, he's just kind of mad at me that I was spreading false information. And I feel bad about that. Because he said that, oh, now I feel like I have to say it now because whatever. He hasn't really been hanging out or talking to Hasan for the longest time. Like, so the whole take that I had, that like, oh, Ludwig's not approaching the topic at all, right? Because it's his best friend. They haven't been talking. Maybe some drama, probably not. Maybe just whatever. But and I believe him. Ludwig doesn't lie to me. The minute Ludwig ever lies to me, ever, like anybody else, then they're in my head in the bad zone, the zone you don't want to be in. Like don't lie to me. If you're talking person to person.
So here we find out that Ludwig and Hasan, apparently they're not boys anymore, which a lot of people saw these guys like Ren and Stimpy, Cat Dog, not Cat Dog, like Ren and Stimpy, Pinky and the Brain. Not, I wouldn't say Tom and Jerry, absolutely not. There's more of an adversarial relationship there. Cheech and Chong, these guys were always together. I've seen these guys together in person. Like they're always kicking it. There's this popular photo too that was going around of them wearing these like crazy shirts. But apparently that changed. We don't know why he changed. We don't know what happened behind the scenes, but XQC took it back and he said, listen, I'm not like Ludwig. He has been set free. He is no longer responsible. He is out of the court. And Ludwig also gives a statement that goes against what his own girlfriend said, which drew him a lot of ire. And I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
Do I think Hasan shocked his dog? I have no clue. I think he lied about having a shock collar. I think he 100% had a shock collar based off what's on my For You page. Maybe I'm getting psyoped. He's adamant that he hasn't shocked her. But that 100% is a shot caller, as a fact. I feel like that shit is 100% a shot caller. But I got no clue. And I think when you come in and you say, oh no, you're going to get that Hasan call now, I think like you are like genuinely pathetic. Like you are still pretending to live in a universe where it is like brave to speak out against Hasan, as if that is not like the popular side to be on. Truly, I think it's pathetic.
So here, Hasan is not his man's anymore. And thank God, Ludwig just said the honest truth, dog. And he just says like, yeah, dog, that looks like a shot caller to me. I don't know about y'all. That's what it looks like to me. Now, maybe he's saying that he didn't shock it in that clip, but to try to tell us that it's not what we saw, that's gaslighting. It's not going to fly. And I think this is the most reasonable take that anyone could ever have. But then, of course, you've got loonies on Twitter X, that are saying like, yo, I can't believe this guy said this. Like, he would believe his own eyes over what Hasan told him? Yeah, I would certainly hope so. Well, what else is he supposed to believe? Some guy who benefits from gaslighting him and telling him it's not what he saw? That's not what you saw. That's insane. But he does get into something, Ludwig, that shocked a lot of people. And I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
Now, coming clean politically, I don't know if you guys know much about me. I share probably a decent amount of politics with Hasan. Not everything. I'm not a socialist. I like making money. I'm a CEO here. But, some other maybe more social issues, sure. I'm also not even friends with Hasan. Legitimately, I'm not. He's not someone that I invite to like my birthday or things like that. He's someone I've done streams with, and I think they were fun. He's a streamer friend is the group I call. But we're not boys. My boys are Slime, Aiden, Nick, the people that I hang out with actually on a week-to-week basis. When I retire, I will never speak to 95% of the streamers I collab with again. Hasan is part of that group. That's a fact. This is just the reality of life. Okay? Connor, I'm an actual friend with. Connor, I would actually speak with after. But most streamers, I wouldn't. It's just true. They wouldn't go to my funeral. I wouldn't go to their funeral. We would never speak again. The same thing that you would experience if you ever worked like a job and then retired from said job or moved on to a different job.
This, you gotta look at a man like this with like Dokes. You gotta look at him like Dokes from the popular meme. I can't believe it's resurfaced as a meme, but the way Dokes looked at Dexter, that's how you gotta look at Ludwig, because there's no way you're telling people that Ludwig wasn't your homie. It ain't no way. And he tries to draw this parallel to regular work, which is not the same. The reason why it's not the same. Number one, when I pull up at 9 a.m., 9:05 a.m., you got to show up fashionably late. But if you bring the donuts, they chill about it. And then I see Sally or Catherine, and I see fat Catherine sitting at the desk, and she's got her dumb 4-year-old son and her 6-year-old daughter in her desk, in her cubicle, and she's telling us about like, oh, her 6-year-old daughter is like so smart for her class, when Catherine is barely making ends meet at the job. Like, she's barely getting her job done, and she's dumb, and her husband is also dumb as rocks. Yeah, what are the odds that Catherine's daughter ends up being a genius? But you're just nice to Catherine. She's a sweet lady. You just don't care about her. You don't care about her kids, and you don't care about any of that. But you're just trying to get along at work. That is completely different, because you have to see Catherine every day. You have to see Edgar every day. That's going to tell you about this new build that he's got for his car that you don't care about whatsoever, and him showing you some video clips of him at the recent car meet. Yeah, of course. But you can't escape them. The difference with streaming is none of these people have to collaborate. You see XQC's chilling at the crib. He's doing his own thing. Ludwig could do his own thing. And this is where I gotta ask, was that dude Mango your friend? So for those of you that are like, what the hell is a Mango? So there was this dude Mango, also known as C9 Mango. He was like a top Smash player. And he was invited, and Ludwig, he came up in the Smash community. He ended up being, he blew that whole community out of the water. Like, he got out of the whole fighting games. He didn't get out of it, but he escaped its orbit, or he hit orbit. Is that what it is? Anyway, so he blew up, but his man's Mango was doing like he was behaving like Nina was behaving to a far less degree, actually. Nina and Zoe Spencer, when they were like essaying that dude Saeed, which I talked about in a previous video, you can check that out. But he was like, he was doing like moves behind certain chicks. He wasn't touching them, but he was making certain gestures after Ludwig had encouraged him to get really, really, really drunk. Like, we're talking ridiculous levels of drunk. And he knew how that guy got when he was drunk. And then that whole situation happened, and he got a lot of backlash. And what happened? Ludwig that guy lost all of his sponsors. That guy lost everything that night. And Ludwig was like, yeah, man, that guy was tripping. He's never coming to any of my events. It's like, what? You encouraged the dude to drink. That's supposedly your man's, or maybe he wasn't your man's. We don't know. And now you just threw him under the bus. But with a Hasan, this guy was hanging out with Hasan all the time. And Hasan is friends, is your girl. Now it begs the question, is Cutie Cinderella, your girlfriend, friends with Hasan? Or is that just work for her as well? So sure, Ludwig has to, he chooses to facilitate events, but it just comes off as fake, because a lot of the reason why people stream or make content or make music or do a lot of different things is because they don't want to work with other people. They don't want to fake relationships. They want to escape what they have to do at regular jobs, which is to fake care and pretend like you're friends with these people. So when you have the option not to do that, to choose to still do that, it's a little bit not manipulative, but it comes across as fake. Because if you asked Hasan, yo, are you friends with Ludwig? He would probably say, yeah, I'm friends with Ludwig. But Ludwig is saying like, nah, we was never homies. You're looking at him like, dog, what? Like, we talked about our relationships. We talked about the struggles we had with work. We talked about all of this other stuff. And there's no setting for a job as well. Like, of course, there's job-related events. But, like, if these guys saw each other once a year at TwitchCon, dapped it up, and maybe kicked it and did a stream, that's one thing. But to be in the same city, to constantly be doing events together, like, work and leisure meshes together. Like, let's just take it in the music industry, right? Which is a good parallel that we can draw. If I'm a rapper and I'm kicking it with, let's take a rapper that I like, Yeet, right? I love Yeet's development, man. Great rapper, great musician. So if I'm kicking it with Yeet and we're at the studio every day for weeks, and then we go on tour, and maybe we're not making music together, or maybe we are making music together here and there, and we do this for years. Like, whenever he's in my city, we're kicking it. We're kicking it at the studio. Whenever I'm in his city, we're kicking it at the studio. We're at different, like at festivals, we're kicking it backstage at the festivals. I'm at his trailer, he's at my trailer. And then I suddenly say like, nah, me and he was never friends. You'd be looking at me like, what? That's like Uzi and Cardi saying they were never friends. And maybe the relationship changes over time, but you were friends. You're not gaslighting us. You guys were friends, or you were fake the entire time. Because for someone else to believe that you're friends with them, and Hasan is not like some lost dude. Like, he knows the difference. He knows people that use him and people that don't. It's almost like you cannot exist on your own. Like XQC, he really only kicks it with people that he's friends with. And other people, he's like, nah, I'm good. So it's either Ludwig is not entertaining enough, or was not entertaining enough to get on his own, and he needed people to sustain it. So he's like pretending. And to say that, yo, I would never talk to these people again after quitting streaming is also wild. Because to not even keep in contact with the person means that you never like them. Because like some people at work is just so different, the regular corporate job, because some people still do keep in contact if they were friends at work. Like, some people meet friends at work, and maybe someone leaves the job and they're still cool. A lot of it is, of course, you just got to pretend like everyone's chill and everyone understands. It's like a contract that everyone signs to be cordial to each other. An unspoken contract, that is, which does not exist in streaming. It does not exist in creative fields. It does not exist in YouTube. Like, this is all cap. That's like, let's take Flagrant, right? Flagrant, that's a podcast with many different hosts. Imagine Flagrant, they're like, nah, bro, we're not friends at all. What do you mean? We just do a podcast together every week. Well, the reason why there is that chemistry is because people believe that you guys are friends. Same thing with Ludwig. It's like, yo, when you're kicking it with Hasan, it's not like you just met somebody and you're like, all right, we're about to like make this content together and go home and not speak to each other at all. So I think I like the honesty that came out of Ludwig here, but people should be looking at him like, yo, he should be receiving a lot of texts like, yo, are you never going to talk to me again? Are we just friends? Because if you didn't fall under that list, he is not your man's. But let me know what y'all think about it in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.